So the question is, with the consistency that Miami produces TDs and tight ends in the NFL, do you think Darnell Washington will commit to us on the strength of that? No, I don't. And I mean, look, I hope he proves me wrong, but I don't, honestly. You rarely come across a player of that size, 6'8", 260, which is going to push him up into 5-star. And he has skills and movement ability too. So he's not just boxy. He's not really, he's not a 4.2 speedster, but you know what I mean? He has loose hips. He can catch the ball. He's a player. At Paradise Camp, he shut everything down just because everybody was watching him and his reps, and Tyler Van Dyke was just like, cool, I'm going to throw it over there. And people thought, okay, he's just force-feeding him with the ball because he wants him to come. Van Dyke wants Washington to come to Miami. First of all, he does. But if he's open and it's a mismatch all the time, why not give him the ball? It is Miami's tendency and history in putting tight ends into the league is a footnote in the recruitment of Darnell Washington. But I think that the other chapters and volumes of the recruitment are going to be more impactful than that. It is Miami's history and even current present with tight ends enough to get Darnell Washington, or should it be? Yes. Will it be? I fear not.
There are still holes in this football team. Absolutely. And then you said offensive line. Your fourth best player in the rankings is an offensive lineman, but that's just one guy, and you need volumes. So did this coaching staff address offensive line to your satisfaction?
No, they did not. Period. And again, like I said, you miss on Isaiah Walker Jr., 4-star All-American from Miami Norland. You miss on Marcus Dumerville. You miss on Marlon Martinez. You miss on some other guys, too. And I talk about this every year where you have Power 5 level guys down here in South Florida, but you overlook them for name recognition or something else, but then you're going for names and you don't get them. Bringing in 2 offensive linemen in this class when you needed 4 to 5 in this class of quality, not just depth, but depth and talent, is unacceptable. And to follow up on your point, you're talking about, the 4th highest rated recruit is Jalen Rivers, an offensive lineman. If you look all the way to the bottom, the lowest rated recruit in our class in its entirety is the other offensive lineman that we signed, 6'7", Chris Washington from Nashville, Tennessee. Now, he's a developmental player. He's a guy who's going to need a couple mango seasons, 2, maybe 3 years before he hits the field. Again, if you can have the Danny Isadora progression model, where he came in from Cypress Bay and Weston High School, and he didn't start playing until his 3rd year, his redshirt sophomore year, but ended his redshirt senior year, his 5th year, as a second-team All-ACC player. If you follow that progressional path with Chris Washington, you'll be ecstatic. But you need guys now. And it is, Manny Diaz said he's very happy because Rivers and Washington are both tackle bodies. Rivers is 6'6", Washington is 6'7". Rivers is like 325, 330. Washington's only 273, so you have room to bulk up his frame. But you have true tackle size guys, big, tall, long arms, and you need that on this roster. And that's great that you get one who can play now and one who you can bring along over the course of time. But it's not enough, especially when you're going to be losing guys from this room. You've already lost guys from the offensive line room. And even if you bring all these guys back, Miami's offensive line was still putrid this year. So you're going to bring back a lot of guys who need a lot of development to get to where the performance needs to be. Bringing in 2 guys is not good enough, especially when it was, and I tweeted this out, and people, the opposing fan bases hopped on this tweet very strongly. It was an uncommon year in terms of offensive line talent. The recruits that were available locally in South Florida, because you had tackles, plural, of a high caliber. You had guards that you could bring in too, because I know people are saying, Cam, we don't need guards. You still need numbers. So you can't only have tackles, but you have an uncommon amount of talent at a position of dire need in the local South Florida area. And Miami got exactly 0 of them. Jalen Rivers is from Jacksonville. Chris Washington is from Nashville. You got nobody south of Jacksonville? Out of all the guys available in this class, especially at this position, out of all positions, no, it's not good enough. Absolutely not. And I mean, I get it. We had Antonio Smith from Ocala Vanguard. That's the same high school that Nkosi Perry once starred at. But you move on from him because of academic reasons or the fact that you didn't like the color of his shirt one day and you say, hey, we're going to go in a different direction. Whatever the reason is, that takes a player off of the board at this position in this class. Did you replace him with anybody? No. So don't talk to me about upgrading when you went from a guy to nobody. Now, I understand that you cannot have non-Miami caliber guys on this roster. So if Miami thought that Antonio Smith was not Miami caliber, good on them for moving on from him. But where's the replacement? You can't just say, okay, this guy doesn't fit, and then end up with nothing. What are you doing? You know, I mean, if I was going to be dramatic, what I would do is I would take my headphones down, I would put them down, and I would leave. And then you would see a blank wall behind a microphone. Okay, cool. Because if Cam does not fit on this show, then we're going to get somebody. And I walk away, and all you have is a microphone, some headphones, and nobody talking. That's not a replacement. That's just you acknowledging that where you were going was wrong. But then you didn't do anything to support that. You didn't do anything to move forward from that. No, the offensive line recruiting was not good enough, and I'm not going to believe that you're going to fix it with going to the transfer portal because you tried it this year and it didn't work.